Design. Every American bill begins as a sketch. Banknote designers at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing draw the layout, the portrait, the borders, the lettering, and nothing moves forward until one person signs off, the Secretary of the Treasury. Then the design leaves paper entirely. Engravers carve it into solid steel, by hand, line by line, dot by dot, using tools that haven't fundamentally changed in 200 years. Every curve of a president's face is a network of microscopic cuts, and a single line often has to be re-entered several times to reach the right depth. There is no shortcut into this job. Becoming a banknote engraver at the Bureau means a 7-year apprenticeship, longer than medical school, spent mastering straight lines before you're ever trusted with a face. The finished steel die is transferred onto working printing plates, cleaned, polished, and coated in chrome for hardness. And from here, the process turns into a factory line, where hundreds of millions of dollars exist in limbo at any moment, and where one machine's only job is deciding which bills die before they're ever born. Remember that. Paper. Except it isn't paper. There's no wood in a dollar bill, not a single fiber. American currency is fabric. 75% cotton, 25% linen, which is why a bill survives the washing machine that destroys your receipts. Look closely at any note, and you'll spot tiny red and blue threads woven through it. Before World War I, those fibers were made of silk. And here's the part that sounds like fiction. Every sheet of this material comes from one single company, Crane, in the small town of Dalton, Massachusetts. They've held the contract since 1879, a family that was selling money paper before America even had a constitution. In the 1770s, the Cranes supplied paper to Paul Revere, who printed money for the American colonies. The exclusivity is enforced in the hardest way possible. It is a federal crime for anyone unauthorized to possess this paper, not to print on it, to have it. For the $5 bill and above, the watermark and the security thread aren't printed on. They're embedded inside the sheet while it's being made, invisible until you hold it to the light. Then comes the ink key, mixed by the Bureau itself. Formulas kept secret, tested continuously. The two facilities together burn through 18 tons of it every single day. Printing. A dollar bill isn't printed once. It's printed in layers, each one stacked on top of the last, each one a separate security barrier. What you're holding is 3 print jobs fused into one object. Here come the first 2. Layer 1. Color. Massive offset presses, 50 feet long, 70 tons. Print the subtle background tints on both sides of the sheet at once, at 10,000 sheets per hour. And every 500 sheets or so, an operator pulls one out and examines it by hand, checking that the colors haven't drifted. One detail most people never notice. The $1 and $2 bills skip this stage entirely. No background color. They go straight to layer 2. Layer 2 is the one that makes money feel like money. Intaglio. The engraved steel plates from step 1 are flooded with ink, then wiped clean. Ink survives only inside the carved grooves. Paper meets plate under up to 20 tons of pressure, and the ink is literally pulled up out of the grooves onto the sheet. That's why a portrait is raised. Run your fingernail across a president's jacket and you feel ridges. The Bureau describes the texture as fine sandpaper. No home printer on earth can reproduce it. The backs are printed first, in green. Then the sheets go somewhere strange. A locked vault, where they sit and dry for 3 full days. A single drying vault can hold $50 to $100 million in unfinished notes. After 3 days, the faces are printed in black, and the sheets return to the vault for 3 more. Add it up, and at any given moment, the Washington facility alone contains up to $300 million in various stages of existence. Printed, half-printed, drying in the dark. But none of it moves forward until every sheet survives an execution chamber. Inspection. Remember the machine from the beginning, the one that decides which bills die before they're ever born. It's called OCIS, the Offline Currency Inspection System. Every sheet that survived the presses passes through its cameras, and the examination is not human, it's forensic. The system splits every single note into 125,000 pixels, 4 million pixels per sheet, and analyzes both sides for the smallest flaw. A smear of ink, a drifted color, a line that broke. It does this at 2.5 sheets per second. Pass, and the sheet moves on. Fail, and the entire sheet is condemned. But here's the twist almost nobody knows. Condemned doesn't always mean dead. A rejected sheet of 32 notes might contain 30 perfect bills and 2 flawed ones, so a second machine re-examines the condemned, note by note, and pulls the innocent ones back out, rescued from destruction, and sent on with the rest, which means somewhere in your wallet there may be a bill that was sentenced to die and got a pardon. The survivors move on to receive the one thing they still don't have, an identity: numbering. Technically, this is printing again, the third and final layer. But this is the only layer that makes every bill different from every other bill on Earth. A letterpress stamps each note with its green serial number, twice in 2 corners of the face, plus the black Federal Reserve seal and the green seal of the Treasury. That serial number is a fingerprint. Within its series, no 2 notes ever share it, which creates a strange rule. Serial numbers can't be reused. If a note is damaged after numbering, the Bureau can't simply print that number again, so the replacement is issued with a star at the end of its serial. Collectors hunt these star notes, and some sell for thousands. And at this point, every bill is printed, sealed, and numbered. Finished money, except for one absurd detail. You still couldn't spend a single one, because 32 bills are still one sheet of fabric. Cutting. The sheets are stacked 100 deep, a block of 3,200 unborn bills, and slid under a guillotine. The first cut is horizontal, slicing the stack into pairs. Then the blade comes down vertically, and for the first time in the entire process, individual dollar bills exist, 3,200 of them born in a single stroke. Machines immediately band them into packs of 100, the paper straps you've seen in every heist movie. The color of the strap tells you the denomination without reading a single bill. And think about what that guillotine actually does in a day. This one room turns sheets of fabric into more spendable cash per hour than most people earn in a lifetime. A single afternoon's cutting, in hundreds, is worth more than a private jet. But a banded pack of 100 bills is still loose money. What happens next is pure logistics, money treated like freight. Delivery. From here, money stops being treated like money and starts being treated like cargo. A rotating carousel collects 10 packs and binds them into a bundle, 1,000 notes. The bundle is shrink-wrapped and tagged with a barcode, and that barcode knows everything. The exact serial numbers inside, and which Federal Reserve Bank this money already belongs to. Before a single bill is spent, its entire life is traceable. Then the bundles become bricks, 4,000 notes, wrapped tight as a cinder block. 4 bricks become a cash pack, 16,000 notes in one sealed unit. Now do the math the Bureau does. 1 brick of $100 bills, $400,000. Stack those bricks onto a single pallet, and you're looking at $64 million. 1 pallet, small enough to fit in your parking space, moved around the factory floor like any warehouse in America moves cereal boxes. A forklift driver here moves more wealth in one shift than most banks hold in their vaults. And every pallet rolls toward the same destination. A room built to hold all of it, waiting for the one signature that turns it into money. Vault. The cash packs roll into a high-security vault beneath the Bureau. And here comes the strangest fact in this entire video. Everything in that vault is not money. Legally, the Bureau of Engraving and Printing has manufactured nothing but printed fabric, beautifully made, serialized, sealed, and worth exactly zero. Not one of those bills can buy a cup of coffee, because the factory that makes America's money has no power to make money. That power belongs to one institution, the Federal Reserve. Only when the Fed takes possession and issues those notes do they legally become currency. The signature of the system, not the ink, is what turns paper into dollars. So armored trucks collect the pallets and carry them to Federal Reserve banks across the country. And from there to your bank, your ATM, your pocket. The bill you're carrying right now survived engraving, 3 layers of printing, a forensic camera, a guillotine, and a vault, and became money only at the very last step. But this factory keeps a darker ledger. Some of what rolled off these presses, the government later hunted down and destroyed. The story of the money America erased,